speaking of creation and specifically Earth and its kind of relationship with us, like I did used to think of more like me as a solo entity, as a single entity, and then you're there as your entity, and then we have this third entity, Earth. But I mean, man, if you think about it, like we're legitimately all in this together. Like we are tied together. You like it or not, we are tied together here. Like you're, and this is clear even more so now than normal, but your actions have an effect on me, and how I conduct my life has an effect on you, and how we conduct our lives like has an effect on like other people, and we were just like we are sort of together here. I mean, there's kind of a beauty in that, but there's also a terribleness in that too, because it kind of strikes at our self-reliance. Like if I could be a solo entity and I could be my person and I'm going to do what I do and I don't really need you. Matter of fact, I don't really need like the earth. And matter of fact, I'm not really going to take great care of it because I'm going to do my thing. Then you can have a little bit of like self-sufficiency. But dude, there's at the end of the day, there's not a whole lot of self-sufficiency here. Like we are in this thing together, and you try to take away some necessary things, and we die, which speaks to your point.
Right. And I think, I was just thinking about how, like, I think as a Western, like, let's say the U.S., I think we've gone maybe too far down the road of valuing. I think we take the message of that the individual as a divine, as an image of the divine, like that's baked into our Constitution and our whole system of government. Like, but I think sometimes we take that individualism beyond what it was meant to be, which is like it's the epicenter of the state in some way, because each individual is this kind of center of divine presence, and so we're all connected in this. We're all the center of the universe. In our own center, in a way. It's like God is reflected in each of us. His presence is in each of us. And so, but it's easy to take that individualism a little too far, I think, sometimes, and go, okay, well, our great technological power has allowed us to not necessarily depend on each other as much, right? But I think there's a mistake there, and we're seeing it now. It's like, well, I needed to be connected to my neighbors here because I wasn't one of them that went and stocked up on toilet paper before this great coronavirus quarantine.
Right. Yes.
So, I've got a family of 6. We're down to the last 3 rolls. I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing, really?
Yeah. It's out for good reason, because God knows coronavirus gives you the shits. Like, where did that even come from?
It's like, why toilet paper?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Like, I think there's a lot of like symptoms of the coronavirus. I don't think like massive craps is one of them.
Generally no. I don't know why that's the one, but the beauty of it all was I needed my neighbors. So I posted on our neighborhood Facebook page, and I just asked if anybody had any guidance about where to get any toilet paper.
Okay.
And, several people offered to just give me some.
That's great.
Yes. Well, we then traded cinnamon rolls,
way.
for toilet paper.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we have a story about bartering
Dude, it really
rolls.
is the end of the world then.
If
you're
really
trading toilet paper for cinnamon rolls, dude, it's over.
Right. I was going to just put it on Facebook and say, I'll trade somebody like a box of 9mm for some toilet paper. But I was like, dude, that's like apocalyptic style.
Oh, it totally is. I mean, but when you start trading alcohol for ammunition, it's over, bro.
Yeah.
It's totally over. But seriously, if when you back to this self-sufficiency thing, you lock someone in a room, solitary confinement, and see how they do. They don't do very well.
No, you'll lose your mind.
You lose your mind
eventually.
Like, people are getting agitated because we have to be in our houses, but you can be in your house. Not just, you can be in your yard. You can walk the street, and we're getting agitated enough at that. And that's just what I'm speaking to with like. We are individuals.
Yeah.
We are. God created us. God created you, and so, but we have common denominators in that we share a single creator, and that we share a single universe. We share a single earth, and your actions, affect mine for the good or the bad. And then, yeah, so I just think that's the one, like that thought. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually, just how connected we are.
I think, there's this interesting little science fact that I learned a while back about trees. Tree roots go out pretty far, but what we don't see is that there's a part of the tree roots that kind of goes on beyond what we can see. There's this network, I think they're called mycorrhizal networks. So I don't know how to pronounce it necessarily, but they're these kind of hair-like tips to the roots and it turns out that they actually go out pretty far, and then furthermore, they communicate with other trees, right?
Yeah.
And so when there's like this kind of, I need this kind of nutrient, and there's like one of them metabolizes some energy this way and then makes it available over here. And that communication can happen over miles.
Yes.
It's like, so I think we know we're pretty technologically powerful, and so we're really keen on what we can see and measure. But there's so much of the energetic ties between humans and the reliance, to your point, on all this that is so critical to our well-being, to our understanding of the world. And one of the reasons I think the quarantine is so disturbing for people is because, the routines like work have been interrupted, so that's all shifted. Mm-hmm. And then it's easy to throw stones at the entertainment culture or at the sports culture, and I think a lot of Christians sometimes, at least the fundamentalist Christians, sometimes throw stones at those because, it's like this entertainment culture that it's easy to kind of critique, if you will, and it probably needs critiquing. But, things like music, concerts, for example, like, is it entertainment? Yes, but it's also something that helps us make sense of the world. Like music, as we experience it, good music, is crucial. In fact, you could make the argument that if you never listen to any music, you might lose your mind. Music is really important to our kind of being able to kind of map reality in some sense. And so to go and be in community with other people, to experience music together, like that it plays a non-trivial role in helping you map the world and understand the world and your place in it. And it's not just an experience, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
And the same is true for sports.
Exactly.
Sports, one of the reasons that sports have been this, again, something easy to critique, maybe the level at which people get involved. But nonetheless, the idea of sport is as old as, humanity.
Yep.
And it's because, you have people equally kind of cooperating and competing, working towards an aim together. And then, when someone hits that aim, they shoot the basket or something, everybody's like, yes.
Yeah, it's an art form.
And it's like, we're watching people cooperate, coordinate, and move towards a target.
Yep.
And it's like, we're kind of, in some sense, it helps us cooperate and coordinate and move towards our targets.
Yes.
And so it's not trivial that we're not getting to engage in that right now.
Yeah, fascinating.
And so I think there's this disruption and this kind of dis-ease that goes along with, and some of it is probably just people, getting these kind of dopamine hits or whatever from, or maybe they're watching TV because they don't want to engage or whatever. And there are things to critique there. But I also am, I think there is a real cost to it.
That's an interesting insight. I mean, I hadn't thought of that. So maybe for some people, this is like a healthy course correction.
Right.
If we're too into, say, sport, or heck, I don't know if you can be too into music or not. I don't think so, but maybe. So maybe for some it's like a healthy course correction. But your point is, we were made to experience these things, and when you go through long periods of time where you're not experiencing these things, then you're not fully living the human. You're not fully living your human existence
experience.
Experience. Yeah, right. which is interesting. But you talked about music, and I just last week read my first C.S. Lewis book. I don't know why in the world I didn't read this guy sooner.
Right.
But Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis is actually really great. I really enjoyed it. But he has a quote in there that I should probably just kind of get verbatim if I can find it on Twitter. But the comment was that I'm not going to be able to find it. That music is so important to us because it gets us basically to the edge of basically like enjoyment and infinity. Like it's the closest expression we have to like understanding what eternity on the other side of death is going to be like for those who have their faith in Christ. Like it is it's the best understanding of essentially eternal life, which I thought was really great because, and so what you're saying is if you like take that one expression away or you can't enjoy it to the fullest, like it's going to have an impact.
Sure.
Let's go back to the internet of the forest. That was referenced in this book over my shoulder here.
Oh, yeah.
How to Change Your Mind by
Sure.
Michael Pollan. So what you're talking about is actually mushrooms. So first of all, you're right in that the roots do go out, but then they connect to nets of mushrooms underground.
I gotcha.
And the ones that go for miles and miles is actually mushrooms. So yeah,
so it's not trees, it's mushrooms.
Well, the tree roots go out. You're right on that. The tree roots go out a ways and they connect, but I don't believe the tree roots themselves are the ones that go for miles. That's mushrooms.
I gotcha.
So there's this, whatever you reference, the name might be right, but it's in the mushroom family, and it's basically the internet of the forest. It's amazing. And you're right in that if one tree lacks a certain nutrient that it can't get because based on where it's located, guess what? Mile and a half away, over by the stream, or at the top of the hill, or on the other side of the whatever, that tree has those nutrients. They connect. Dude, that's phenomenal.
Amazing.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine making something like that? Like we think we're cool because like we can text each other.
Right.
Because the trees have been used in an internet form for thousands of years.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.